brothers and I, and my uncles, aunts, and cousins would sit for the Seder, the damp basement where Hattie Mae, the black maid, sometimes slept in a small room, the carpeted stairs leading up to mysterious chambers and corridors I wasn't allowed to see. In the back, behind the gardens of azaleas and boxwoods, was a musty barn converted to a garage, with harnesses and bridles still hung on the walls and the odor of horses in the air. My grandparents kept a mule there named Bob, who carted off the dead leaves in the fall and returned with compost in the spring. The house was built around 1900, when this part of Memphis, 10 miles east of Main Street, consisted mostly of farmland. In those days, the big houses were owned by the cotton merchants. People said you could always tell a cotton man by the lint on his trousers. In the 1940s and 1950s, many of the power brokers of Memphis and Nashville, mayors and governors, captains of industry, came to this house to visit my grandfather. In recent years, the neighborhood has been chopped up into half-acre lots with fake southern mansions crammed side by side. But this modest monument remains. Soon, it too will be gone. After a late lunch of fried chicken and pecan pie, we sit in the sunroom, not the coolest place in the house, but the brightest. Light floods through the enormous picture window, while two upright fans noisily labor at reducing the harsh heat. My grandparents, and then Aunt Lila and her husbands, Uncle Alfred and Uncle Harry, all of whom lived in this house, never bothered to install air conditioning, strangely reasoning that artificial air would aggravate their allergies. At the moment, Lila is upstairs napping. "We need our beauty rest," she said at exactly 2 p.m., as she does every afternoon at that hour, and walked upstairs to her bedroom. When I first arrived, at noon, Lila took me through the house, her high heels clicking on the polished wood floors. One of the rooms I'd never seen has an elaborate makeup counter and 2 closets filled with stage costumes, as if a theater company were in residence and only temporarily away. Still hungover from last night, Lenny sits gloomily on the embroidered couch, wearing one of her slinky 1940s-style dresses and a white flower in her hair. As far back as I can remember, Lenny's hair has been a wild tangle of seaweed, perennially blonde. Lenny's brother, Abi, reclines on the sofa in the dark living room, within earshot. As usual, Abi ate far too much lunch and is resting in a semi-torpor, like a python that has just eaten twice its own weight in small animals. When Abi was younger, he had the body and physical power of Marlon Brando, but his muscle has all gone to flab. Now he weighs more than 300 pounds and needs help to put on his socks. For years, Abi has cared nothing for his appearance. He routinely goes out to restaurants in his bedroom slippers, and he shaves or doesn't on a random basis. However, his 87-year-old mind still cuts like a knife. "You remember the parties we used to have at Justine's?" says Lenny. "On the first night the Metropolitan Opera was in town." Abi grunts in acknowledgement from the next room. "The opera people came on a train from New York. They wouldn't stay anywhere except at the Peabody. They didn't think the illiterate folks down here deserved an entire week, so they came to Memphis for 3 days, then went to Dallas for 3 days. But they did like a good party. When they got drunk, they started singing arias." Dorothy, the black maid who works for Aunt Lila and Uncle Harry, tiptoes into the room toward the comatose form of Abi. "Mr. Bronson, you wants another piece of pecan pie?" Dorothy whispers. "I got plenty." No, says Abi, protesting too much. Dorothy leaves a piece of pie on the table by the sofa. At my insistence, Uncle Harry begins recounting the early days of the family business, the movie business. Every once in a while, Lenny will correct him. They argue for a few moments, and then they compromise on some version of the truth. "You should have mentioned that Papa Joe lost all his money in a card game when he first arrived in Nashville." What? "Turn up your hearing aid, Harry." "Shush." "Shush nothing. Turn up that thing so you can hear. I said that Joseph Lightman lost all his money in a card."